Ooby-Doo is everyone's favorite boomer and vintage lens enthusiast. I bought 4 lenses from KEH in Smyrna, Georgia. They were grade ugly, and I wanted to see what ugly lenses were all about because I was always trying to buy upscale, excellent, excellent plus, like new minus. And I was paying a premium for that. So this lens is a Canon FD 50mm f1.8. It has a little stiction right there at 10 meters or 30 feet, which is neither here nor there. It's totally usable. It does have some haze. The 2 elements that are by the aperture blades has some haze on it, but you really can't see it this way. You gotta shine the light through. Besides, I use a lens hood anyway. That helps with ghosting and flaring and all that stuff. This has a no-name. I also bought this adapter. If you don't have this on the lock side, then the aperture doesn't stop down. So you gotta make sure it's always there, and then the aperture works. It's totally manual, but you gotta make sure it doesn't go halfway on you when you're out in your photo shoot. So I went to the Bailiwick of Bevferwick, which is a park. It's only 10 minutes away from where I live. It's 1,000 acres, but I walk through the same 100 acres all the time. And I use that section of the park as a benchmark to compare all these lenses with. And this is actually a good lens. It's nice, it's sharp, it has a fine detail, it has a large graduation between dark and light. Although I did go there on a cloudy day. This April's turning out to be somewhat on the cloudy side. And so what I may have to, I did post-process these pictures to increase the contrast somewhat, because that's what I think the haze is doing. But aside from these 2 issues, it's a nice lens and it's a keeper. Just think I paid $19 for it. Oh, maybe 5 or 6 years ago, you could have got a real decent one, like very good or even excellent for that price. But they're all been cherry-picked. And when I go to like thrift stores, they mark the prices up already in my state, the grape steak of New Jersey. And I guess I could buy one from Japan, but it seems like a big hassle. So, I mean, for 19 bucks, I've got 4 lenses. I spent less than $80. The only bad one I got was this Sigma. I paid $7 for it, but the aperture doesn't work. And it looks like it has some other issues too, but that, I took a gamble, and so 3 out of 4 is pretty damn good, I'd say. So this is a keeper, and like I said, I went to the park, and we're going to look at this slideshow right after this brief introduction. It's on the SONY a5000. I always use a hood man so I could get the best 10x live view on the large LCD screen. And cosmetically, this lens looks really nice. It's maybe just slightly scruffy looking, but there's no major dings or dents on it. The optics are clear and clean except for the slight haze. So that's a keeper. I'm keeping it. It's going to add it to my collection of 50mm. So without saying that, well, why don't we just jump right into the slideshow, and then you could decide yourself if a grade ugly is for you. I mean, if you're on a budget, you want to get some lenses to play around with, well, then I recommend buying an ugly lens from KEH in Smyrna, Georgia, without a doubt. So, you know, like I said, you could drive around all day, go into thrift stores and see what they got, or you know, buy them off of eBay or whatever. But I like KEH because they have a return policy. I mean, this is $7. It's not worth returning or any hassles, so I don't care. But I got 3 good usable lenses, so I'm happy. These are some flowers blooming in my front yard. April has turned out to be somewhat of an overcast day, with some breaks of sun, but mostly cloudy. It's finally going to start to get warm as I speak to you. Here's an ornamental cherry tree. It's always putting out blooms. That's good. Now what I did is I set the flash to -2, and I shot this at f1.8. This is just some stuff in my bedroom. I give you an idea. This is an overview. This is the center, f1.8. That's not too shabby at all. At all. Here's the upper left-hand corner. The f1.8 has a shallow depth of field, but that's really not too bad. This is a f1.8. That's decent. Here's the lower right corner. It looks really good for f1.8. Wide open. That's great. So what did I do? I set it at f8. Here's f8. Here's an overview. As you can tell, the contrast got a little better and it looks a little sharper. But here's the upper left corner, f8. Oh, it's definitely excellent, without a doubt. But f1.8 wasn't that bad either. Here's the lower right. Oh, that sharpened that up a lot. But the f1.8 was totally usable if you had to use it. And of course, here's following the center, and there's a marked improvement of just the contrast. But the sharpness didn't improve as much as I thought it did because it's so good at f1.8. All right, here's the gate latch at the park, the Bailiwick of Bevferwick. It's only a 10-minute drive, and these are all my benchmark pictures that I compare all my lenses to. This is across the lake. The lake has to be, that side of the lake has to be a couple hundred feet away. Here's this rock. I don't know if it's a rock or some alien being disguised as a rock, but it has fine detail. You know, without a doubt, it's beautiful. I had to post-process these for the contrast a little bit, but this is pretty much what it looked like when you're standing there, although it was very overcast and very even lighting. Here's looking back across the lake from where I was before, and it did a really good job. Close-ups, handles close-ups really good. This is a 1-to-1 crop right off the bat to some leaves and bark. Here's a post, the post that I always take a picture of. Nice and sharp, you know, no doubt about it. Of course, the lighting looks weird because it was overcast and gray. This is the Babbling Brook, and this had to be like maybe 50 feet away from me. That's a 1-to-1 crop also. Here's the pile of bricks, rocks and blocks. It handles things really well. The thing is, I bought it as ugly for $19. It does have some haze on the two elements next to the aperture blade. Aside from that, it takes good pictures. Maybe you may have to post-process, add some contrast, that's it. I'll have to go out and shoot again under sunnier conditions and see what it does. But I'm totally satisfied with this lens. It's a bargain. It's an ugly bargain, but still. You know, I'll just, when I want atmosphere or something, I'll just kick this in and use it. The SONY a5000, man, you could get some HDR results out of it if you just play with it. It's amazing. I just like this place because there's all these jumbled up rocks all over, and they have all sorts of stress marks in them, and lots of detail to check your lens out. This is the pyramid that the Bulpington, the Bulp was buried in that, because he used to be the owner of the Bailiwick of Bevferwick, and when he died they buried him in that pyramid. Although he disguised it as an iron forge so no one would break into it and steal his treasures. It was too bright for me to do some long exposures. Although it was overcast, it was too bright to do long exposures. The lens only stopped down to f16, so I couldn't get the proper motion blur of the water that I wanted. The sign, it's a stamped sheet metal sign with enamel on it. I thought it was cast iron, but it's a stamped sheet metal. And here's these stone walls from the ancient astronauts. You know, modern people couldn't do that even with smartphones, you know. Or maybe Sasquatch did it, I don't know. But it's all these ruins are falling into ruins, and little by little they're disappearing. I don't, there's just this remnants, that's all we got. But there's the excellent subject matter for checking out a lens, you know. And it did a really good job at a 5.6, at f8, and a couple shots at f11. I could recommend going to KEH and buying their ugly lenses. The only thing is, if you're going to get these lenses cheap, buy a couple. So this way, if you get one that's a real dog, you don't care. The others are pretty good. I call this the dragon's tooth. So on the way home, I pulled in my driveway and a plane was flying over, so I couldn't resist taking an infinity shot. This is a little upscale crop that was less than 1920 by 1080. So it's something you may want to consider.